Hello and welcome to the final part of our adventures in South Africa. If you haven't watched the first two parts, follow the links, it will be interesting. And now, let's begin. Today we will explore the incredibly beautiful wine region near Cape Town. Along the way we will also get to know another garden route city, Knysna, which has successfully transformed from an industrial center into an upscale resort. We will also take a look at the townships, which are abundant in Africa in general and South Africa in particular. After saying goodbye to Eastern Cape and Safari, we headed back towards Cape Town. The return journey also followed the garden route. Besides Lanzerac Bay, which I talked about it in the previous part, the main cities include Mossel Bay, George, Oudtshoorn and Knysna. Each is worth a visit and has its own attractions for travelers. However, we couldn't visit them all and choose to stop in Knysna. We also briefly visited Mossel Bay, which I originally wanted to include in our itinerary. As the name suggests, it is famous for its mussels, some of the best in the world. It's also a historic site where Europeans, led by the Portuguese explorer Bartolomeu Dias, first landed. Plus, it's a popular spot for watching whales, sharks and seals. It is an all-year-round beach resort too, but in my quick look around, it just seemed like a big city with nothing particularly special, especially compared to the authentic and green Plaid and Knysna. But this is a rather superficial conclusion. It would be interesting to know your opinion. Please write down in the comments if you have been there. So, what does Knysna represent? Many travel guides call it the heart of garden route. It is a quiet resort town with stunning landscapes, beautiful beaches and oyster farms. Located in the mouth of a river on a lagoon shore, it is protected by rocky promontories known as the Knysna Heads. It is a popular resort in South Africa. Life here is relaxed, nobody is in a hurry. Life slows down early. Many restaurants close as early as 8 p.m. and only few stay open until 10. This unexpected feature nearly left us without dinner on the first evening. Accommodation mainly consists of vacation homes, apartments and a few villa-like hotels, mostly on the coast or islands in the lagoon's center. We stayed at a place on the coast, Candelwood Lodge, which lives up to its Booking.com rating of 9.8. The pandemic meant few tourists in Knysna, so we were the lodge's only guests. So all the staff's attention was focused on us. Since the staff of this lodge has a passion to the teeniest details of guest comfort, we were literally pampered from head to toe. It worth mentioning Matthias, who left stable Switzerland and a successful career at Amazon a few years ago to become the managing partner of this lodge. He is definitely a hospitality maestro. The cost of a room with a breakfast at that time was $100 per night, and I definitely recommend this place. In addition to beaches and local beauties, Knysna also famous for its oysters. There are both farmed and wild here. The quality and production volumes have made Knysna a significant player in this field. Like other garden route cities, Knysna attracts whale watchers. You can also take a walk in the Featherbird Reserve and observe rare birds. Plus, popular leisure activities here include various sunset sea cruises. Keep all this in mind when you're planning your visit. As for us, we focus on the beach, nature and cuisine. Let's start with the cuisine. Knysna is a small town and the majority of its restaurants are located in two places. The first is Knysna waterfront, a bay with a yacht marina surrounded by several restaurants. But it didn't visually appeal to us, so we spent our time at the second location, Thesen Islands. This place is totally different from what you expect in Africa. If Knysna's natural landscape already confuses your reader, making you feel like you are in Switzerland, the Dutch-inspired Thesen Islands will make you feel even more like you are in Europe. It used to be a timber processing and shipping center, but by the end of the last century it transformed into a cool island town with residential and commercial infrastructure. Many of the old industrial mechanisms have been preserved and now serve as art objects. I really enjoy such places, so we spend both evenings at the restaurant there. They are not upscale, but decent. I have to say that we didn't find any particular cuisine uniqueness in local restaurants, despite the promises on the internet. Overall, I'd recommend Thesen Islands as the best spot in Knysna for dinners and as a beautiful place for walks. Most of the day following our arrival we spent at Brenton beach, which Matthias recommended as the best in Knysna. And he was right, the beach is excellent. It is 15 kilometers from Knysna in a small coastal town with the same name. The road there winds around the lagoon, offering views of the local beauty from various angles. There are many stylish lodges, villas and chalets on the cliffs above the beach, all available for rent. Staying in one would also be a great choice. A few restaurants and shops are there, but for more options you'll need to head to Knysna. The beach itself is very impressive. Like many South African beaches, it is more about enjoying the sea than swimming. The cold water, dangerous underwater currents and often strong waves are the reasons. We did swim a couple of times, but it wasn't exactly comfortable. There is no infrastructure on the beach and no lifeguards either, so bring everything you need, and it is wise to have a lifeguard too. Just like at the hotel, we were almost alone on the beach, allowing us to fully immerse ourselves in the beauty and grandeur of the place. The next morning we had a personal and very delicious breakfast served in the cozy courtyard of the villa. Local monkeys tried to join us for breakfast and have a bite, but Matthias quickly appeared with a noisemaker to scare them away. They certainly have their own quirks here. After chatting for a while, we bid farewell to this wonderful place and continued our journey towards the winelands. In general, Knysna pleasantly surprised us and we really like it. I would recommend staying here for at least 3 days. But do not expect a lot of hustle and bustle. This place is about calm and leisurely relaxation. As we head towards the luxurious wine region, it is time to turn our attention to its opposite, the ghetto, or townships as they are called here. Despite all the beauty of this country and the many various man-made wonders, you will frequently come across large and sometimes huge reservations of poverty along the way. There are over 500 townships in South Africa. By various estimates, about 50% of the country's population, which is more than 20 million people, live in them. This is a rather dramatic sight. The roots of this problem date back to the times of racial segregation and apartheid. We encountered a similar scale in Brazil. However, unlike in Rio, these areas are clearly marked and sometimes are surrounded by large fences. Regular tourist trails do not pass through them. Therefore, they do not pose a significant danger to tourists, as long as they do not go there alone at night. Some of them are more dangerous, some less. It depends on the level of crime in each specific township. For educational purposes, we stopped on the outskirts of one such township on the way. For safety reasons, we decided to stay in the car and not get out. In this particular case, it turned out to be unnecessary. After about 5 minutes, local children gathered around us, observing the drone as if it were an alien. They were curious but looked much more relaxed than we did. Besides the children, we also met several local residents who were extremely friendly, smiling, and seemed happy in their own way. The country's authorities are trying to address this issue, which is evident from the construction of obviously social housing near the townships. However, these attempts have not been very successful so far. I sincerely hope that they will be able to tackle this complex and non-trivial challenge. Meanwhile, we have reached the wine region and it's time to immerse ourselves in its charm. There are many wine regions in the world, and they are all picture square and beautiful. However, these places are especially impressive. In South Africa there are 5 major wine producing regions, but the most interesting things happen in the coastal region in the Western Cape. This is where South African winemaking originated. Within a radius of about 100 kilometers from Cape Town, you will find its main districts, or as they are called in the wine industry, wards. These include Constantia, Stellenbosch, Paarl, Franschhoek and Swartland. Each of them can captivate the imagination of both wine lovers and connoisseurs. To be honest, I can't even imagine how much time, money and effort it would take to fully appreciate all of them. For our first visit, we chose the most significant district called Stellenbosch. The town of Stellenbosch and the surrounding district were founded as early as 1678, and it is home to 1/5 of all vineyards in South Africa. About 200 estates operate in this district, many of which are considered South African treasures. It is also where the country's only university that produces specialists in winemaking and enology. The science of wine is located, among other things. To be honest, I can't even imagine how challenging and rewarding it must be to study there. Stellenbosch itself is very beautiful, green and well kept. It looks nothing like an African town and is more reminiscent of the old world. Now let's take a closer look at how everything is organized here. The essence of it all lies in the moving between different wineries that offer wine tasting, accompanied by various snacks from local farms. It must be said that they do it at the highest level. Add to this the stunning views of the vineyards and the surrounding nature combined with the architecture of the wineries themselves, and you are in one of the most beautiful places in the world. You do not need to go anywhere else, nor would you want to. Such places always tempt you to come back, but all this magnificence comes with a downside, of course, and that's the cost. In the world of wine, everything has a price, especially in the good ones. I intentionally won't provide prices because they depend a lot on preferences. I'll just say that you can also have a good time here on a relatively budget-friendly basis. Another important factor that will affect your experience here is your accommodation choice. In this regard, there are 3 options. First, you could stay in one of the beautiful Cape Dutch-style hotels in the city. If you do, you can go to wineries either by car or taxi. Remember, you need a sober driver if you are driving, because there is zero tolerance for drinking and driving here, and the police are strict about it. Also, the wineries are far apart, so walking between them is not practical. If you choose this option, you get the bonus of being able to walk around the city in the evening, if you are not too tired from the tasting. It is really nice for a stroll. The second option is to stay on the premises of one of the wineries, and many estates offer this option. This is the best choice if you want to dive deep into the wine world. The accommodations are top-notch, but the price varies a lot, depending on the winery's exclusivity. It is often pricier than the city hotels, but it is popular, so book early. The third option is a day trip from Cape Town. It is possible if you are very limited on time, but I wouldn't recommend it. As they say, it won't do justice to the experience.
We went with the second option and stayed at Jordan Wine Estate. We only regret not staying longer than 2 nights. We felt a connection with the beauty there right away. They pay attention to every detail, and it's a perfect blend of style and beauty. Our room had a terrace with a vineyard view. Despite COVID, it was only $110 a night, breakfast included. The restaurant was closed when we got there, but they had dinner waiting for us on our terrace, kept warm with 2 bottles of wine. The estate mainly has suites, each with a small terrace.
The next day greeted us with excellent weather and an equally excellent breakfast on the picture square terrace of the Wineries restaurant. Even though it was only 10 in the morning, tourists were already coming to our favorite winery for wine tasting. I found it kind of funny watching them, but after we walked around the estate for about an hour after breakfast, we decided to go on a tour of the winery. Right from the beginning, everyone got a wine glass and someone kept filling it up. The tour where they showed us how they make the wine was really interesting and lasted about an hour. Then we spent the next 2 hours tasting different Jordan wines. By lunchtime we felt really good. There is such a guy with us, is also tasting Jordan Wine Estate wines, and in my opinion he feels good here. I started to wonder how we were going to visit the other 2 wineries I had planned for that day. With some effort we managed to tear ourselves away from clutches of Jordan and headed to previously planned winery called Lanzerac Wine Estate.
It is one of 3 oldest wineries in Stellenbosch, started in 1692. Like Jordan, it is one of the top 10 wine places in the area. This winery is known for being the first to bottle Pinotage wine. In 1961, because of them, Pinotage became South Africa's first official commercial wine. We stayed there for a few hours and time just flew by with their great service, tasty snacks, amazing views, and of course the wine was fantastic. I definitely tell anyone to visit there if they can.
Thus our essentially full day in Stellenbosch passed by unnoticed. Unfortunately, we had neither the time nor the energy to visit more wineries.
But the last one we visited was in a handy spot, so we got to walk around the city. We had our last dinner in South Africa at this pretty good place in town, the Warren Market. It was a great spot to wrap up our exciting trip, and I definitely recommend it.
As you have already understood, the wine region really impressed us and definitely worth considering when visiting South Africa. Based on our experience, I would suggest planning at least 3 nights there, preferably a week, and adding Paarl and Franschhoek to Stellenbosch. I have to say that South Africa has become perhaps the most impressive in terms of the variety of interesting places among those we have visited. Experiencing all its beauty is nearly impossible in just one visit, and we hope to return here someday. Thank you for watching, do not forget to subscribe, and see you in the next country.